Hey, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Hey, Irene. All right, we'll give it another minute or so before we get started, and then I'll share my screen.
So real quick question while we're waiting.
Yes, okay.
We have noticed on DocuSign that some of them, the documents, when they go into a room, say sample down it.
Yeah, that's a template situation. Yeah, that's something we need to let Kimberly know about, because she just needs to upload the correct one that doesn't say sample on it.
Okay.
I can tell, yeah, I actually downloaded it to my computer so I would have them, because I've had the same problem. And I'll tell Kimberly after our class today that we have it as an issue.
Okay, excellent. I thought it was just me. I feel better now.
It's not you. And feel free to ask questions. If you have any questions while we're going through stuff, just pop in and I'll be happy to answer it.
Okay.
But it's 11 o'clock. And so I'm gonna actually start by sharing my screen.
Okay, we're gonna go back on mute just so we don't have background noise.
Oh, I need Authorine to allow me to host, to share my screen. Participant screen sharing. I still can't share my screen.
She's grabbing Authorine. She was on the phone.
Okay.
I'm trying to
Okay, no problem.
I should know how to do this.
It says host disabled participant screen sharing. So I just need it enabled.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to see where the. No, disabled.
I know how to do it on mine.
You do?
I just.
So when you go to here,
yeah,
to share screen,
try that.
but see, it's saying no, disabled.
So we need to enable.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's not giving me.
You would have to go out, so go to the bottom where the Zoom thing is. You
Here?
see here?
Oh, okay.
Try click on the other Zoom thing, the original Zoom, yeah. We may have to, no, she's gonna have to, because she may have, you have to do it in your settings.
Okay, go grab it, Mommy, maybe she. Sorry, technical.
No problem.
Yeah. See a setting. Yeah. Here comes the savior of the day.
Thanks, Amani.
You're welcome.
Ah.
It's not because we're gonna okay. Normally she may have to. Can I log into your computer? In settings. Yeah.
Go into Zoom.
Yeah, she's gonna log in herself on Zoom. Should we have DocuSign open? Would that help us or no? Not necessarily.
So I would start off with having your command opened up. We'll start from command and then go towards DocuSign. And I think that's just a better way to make sure you don't have to go back and undo or redo things later on after you have your contracts and everything.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. So we're just waiting so that I can share the screen. They're working on giving me access.
Sorry about that. Okay. You should be the host now.
Okay, let's see. Yay! Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okie dokie. So let me see about minimizing this. Okay, guys. So we'll start off by working from command. I just think that's easier if you have command. You start from command because it will link DocuSign to your command opportunity, and that'll make things easier for you moving down the line. So the first thing you do is you've created your contact. I've got Libby Lister. We'll do a listing agreement because I think that's got some challenges with the seller's property disclosure, the community association disclosure too, which is kind of challenging to get filled out sometimes. So the first thing you'll do is you'll have Libby Lister. You'll have your contact in command. I'm actually going to also go over here. And then the other thing you want to do is come over to your name in command and go to settings and make sure that you have linked your DocuSign. It's connected to your command. Again, so you'll go to your little icon, click on settings, and then that will pull up this section, which will show you which applications are connected. So you want to make sure that you're connected to DocuSign so that command and DocuSign can talk to each other. So then after you've done that, you're going to go to your contact where you've got your listing, after you've gone to your listing presentation, and you're going to come back, and you're going to create an opportunity. So in here, I've already got 5678 Main Street. I'm going to come over to my opportunity, and I'm going to create the opportunity on the far right-hand side. So when you create your opportunity, you want to make sure that the Market Center can find this opportunity later on once you have a contract. So you're going to select that it's a listing that you've done, and then the client's name is here. If there's a co-seller, you'll put that person in here. And then what I like to do is come here to the beginning and hit 5678, and then I think it was Main Street. Was that the name of it? So you want to put the address in here. And I like this just because this is the opportunity name. Then you're all set up for when you have your contracts and the Market Center is looking for this information. You'll also want to come in here. The most important part here is your commission rate that you'll want to put in. And then here's where you can kind of create that you're having an appointment or that it's going to be, I usually select active coming soon. So this creates your opportunity. So then you have your opportunity here, 5678 Main Street. So you're going to go to that opportunity. And when you're in the opportunity, this is a nice place to start with. I like to work from the left side to the right side. So the details, this is where you're going to kind of look to see that your information is entered. You'll want to make sure that the property, the address is in this section. It'll auto-populate and confirm to make sure that it's a correct address. Then you're going to click on the Documents tab. And this is where we're going to start a transaction. And I like to go ahead and select the residential transaction. So it's going to give you all the things we're going to need for a listing. Over here, it shows you're going to have a listing agreement, your marketing disclosure, your wire fraud, and then all the other things that we're going to have in here in order to list our property. And then you're going to start a transaction. So when you hit the drop down, it gives you options where you can choose DocuSign or .loop. And this is why you wanted to make sure in command that you already were connected. So you'll click DocuSign, and then this is going to take you over to the DocuSign. Please reattempt. All right, hold on just a second. Let me move my little. Okay. Okay. So now it's opened up a DocuSign. Now there's two sides to DocuSign. There is the e-signature side, and then there is also, if you click on your name on the top right, it will show you that you can switch to rooms. So you want to make sure that you are in the room side, and then you also want to make sure that you are in the room that is connected. This little ID is connected to your command. So this is how things talk back and forth to each other. So I double check to make sure my address is here, the name, and that it's a listing. And then in this section, I start again from left to right, and I make sure that my information is already in here, which will help you populate your forms later on. So the seller's name, their cell number, an email address, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom where you're the listing agent, and you'll want to make sure your information's already in here as well. That'll save you some time later on when you won't have to fill all this information out. Any questions getting to this part? Yes, Chuck.
Let me see how to hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, I didn't know I was on mute. Show me where you said make sure you're connected to command.
Absolutely. So when you're in command, you want to make sure that you are connected. So go to your little logo, your name on the far right side of command, click on settings.
No, I got that part. I'm talking about when you're in DocuSign. You said make sure that it's connected.
It automatically does it when you go through the command. When you hit go to transaction, it automatically takes you to the transaction that's connected. And that's why you want to start with command and go to DocuSign instead of logging into DocuSign directly. A lot of times when you're in a hurry, people will just go straight to DocuSign, and then command and DocuSign aren't talking to each other. And that makes it more work later on.
I do have one more question. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of you or not, but let's say that I have it's my listing and then the buyer is unrepresented. Do I create the opportunity under the listing or under the buyer's side?
So if it's your listing, you're going to want to create a listing with the address of your listing. And then you can add in buyer's email address and contact information for signatures.
Okay.
And I'll show you how you can do that. Okay. So right now we're at our listing. We have our ID. So moving from left to right, you've got your details that you have your information here. And basically this is just your seller and your information. And then you're going to go to your documents tab. The documents, kind of think that as your launch board or your desktop of where what you want to do. You want to put all this information right here in the documents so that you can get these things filled out. So you're going to add a document, and then it gives you options of where you want to add it from. So you can go straight from your computer, which could be on your desktop or on your downloads. You can go to DocuSign Forms. If you hold your forms in Dropbox or Google Drive, you can import from there as well. But because we're doing DocuSign, I'll show you the DocuSign form. So now we're going to DocuSign. So over here, Kimberly has created these little folders to kind of make it a little easier for you. You've got a buyer folder, a lease, a listing, and a referral. So we'll click on the listing folder. And in here, you're going to select the seller's listing agreement. Exclusive seller listing agreement. And then you also want to do the wire fraud. And sometimes you can just come in here and type in wire and that might not pop up. Okay, because Irene was talking about the wire fraud. So I'm going to select the listing agreement. And I'm going to show you how I upload my wire fraud and my disclosure, or yeah, the wire fraud and the marketing, because we actually had samples on the, I need to talk to Kimberly about fixing that. So if you download your, this is a template that I've created. So this is a template exclusive seller listing agreement, and I'll show you how that works also. And if right here, you can tell there's two different documents. One is blue which means it's an actively fillable document, and the red one is a PDF. So if I open up the blue form, it's going to show you that it's fillable. So I can go in and enter in all of this information. It's a live document. So I can type in the address, and I can fill out the legal description, enter in this information. But generally with Libby, she will have a basic setup. So that's why we have a little template. So I'll show you the difference on the template. So all of this is already filled in. I have the little, we always use the deed, book, and page. We have our commissions already filled out. Our marketing information is filled out. This is all pre-filled, so it saves us a little bit of time. Any questions on the two different types of documents? Okay.
So I do have one
Sure.
question. When you, to make it less time consuming, when you're dealing with multiple contracts and things like that, yep, whether it's on a listing or a buyer side, that template you have right there is pre-filled. So it's just, I guess you could say generic, or just something
generic to us. Yeah,
generic
to Libby Bramlett. Yeah.
Gotcha. And when you want to go in and fill in those empty spaces for each deal, do you have something, you have to manually type everything in, correct?
Well, I'm going to show you on, I'll show you how I add those in. And I feel like it saves time instead of having to retype everything each time.
Yeah.
What I like to do is, once I have the documents that I need signatures on, I'm going to show you on the template ones. And then I'll explain how the blue fillable forms work. The other thing that we're going to need is a seller's property disclosure, and we're going to need a CAD. So let me show you on the seller's property disclosure. Oops. Oh, that's a buyer. Sorry. See? So over here, I came to the right folder. That was why it didn't show up. So seller's property disclosure, and then we'll have the community. So I've selected those two, and I'll add those in. So those are blue forms. So the first thing we're going to do is ask our seller to sign our listing agreement. So I've got the listing agreement, and then I've selected the wire fraud. And then if you come up here, it will tell you what do you want to do with what you've just selected. So you have the option to move it, email it, combine it into one document, create an envelope, or you could download it. So what I want to do is to create an envelope so that we can send it to our seller. Usually what I'll do is I'll name the envelope so I know what I'm dealing with, because once you have a lot of things going on, it'll be easier to find it. So 5678 Main Street. And then I like to just kind of do the last name. And then here we'll look to see what we're sending. So we're sending the exclusive seller listing agreement and the wire fraud. You can also switch the order if you want to by just dragging, click and drag. We like to do the listing agreement first and then the wire fraud. Then after that, you're going to add the recipients. Who do you want to send this to? So I need to send it to the room participants, and that would be yourself and your seller. So you'll check each one, and it says over here who you're sending it to. And then I'll add the selected. Any questions on that part? Over here, you can tell who gets what first. So you can also change the order of things. If you want to receive it first, you can put 1 here and then your seller number 2. So depending on the order in which you want people to receive it, you can change that up. I also just come up here and copy the envelope name and add it down here, because this is what they'll see. And then you can also create a little message. If you want to say something here in the message, you can do that. So again, here we've added the documents. This is the envelope we're sending via email. This is the envelope name, the 2 documents that we're sending, and then who's getting it and in what order. And then I'm actually going to change this to my email so I can show you. And you can do this also. You can make an edit if you notice that something's off, you can change it. And then you're going to click the next button. If you're not ready to send it, if you said, oh gosh, I forgot to add in, you know, the affiliated marketing, you can click save and close and then go back and add, or you can hit the next button. It's thinking. So this is where you start to make your edits, where you can kind of change some things. So over here, you'll notice the drop down is kind of like different colors, like coloring with different, everybody has their own colors. So Libby Bramlett has your agent color, and then Libby Lister has blue. So when I come over here, if it's yellow, then I know that's the agent, me. So what I want to do now is add in the information we were talking about earlier that's still missing. So here's where you add a text box. So I find that this is a little bit faster than just typing everything in to the fillable form. So I create a text box, and the blank ones, if you just do Command D, you can duplicate it. And then I just add in what I have to fill in. And then you just keep Command D, Control D, duplicate.
How come I didn't know that before?
Oh, it's a secret.
That just saved me a whole bunch of time.
There you go. So I just create my little spots that need to be filled. And then I make them fit the space. This is also somewhere like if you missed a spot, like in your template. So then you can come back up here, you select it. You can type here, or you can come over here and type.
Chuck Tanner has his hands up. Did you?
Who does?
Chuck Tanner.
Go ahead, Chuck, I'm listening.
No, I'm sorry, I should have put it back down. That was earlier.
Put your hand down.
Okay, Arshia has his hands up.
Okay, what's your question, Arshia?
Is there any way, or maybe in the future, that this will be upgraded to the point where, similar to Adobe, you don't have to like insert text box, but you can just start typing in there?
So it is already that way, where you can do that. However, you have to type everything in. So I chose to do this way because I have the majority of it already filled out. All I have to do is add the address, the tax ID number, and then the deed book and page. You can fill it all in manually using the blue document. And I'll show you that with the seller's property disclosure. Completely up to you on how you want to do it. It's just, if you look all the way at the end of this information, like at the seller, at the very end of your agreement, this is what I'm trying to keep from having to fill in every single time. You know, the office code, the broker. I mean, I don't want to sit there and type all that. It's already done. All I have to do is add the signature here. And I'd rather do that than type all of this in every time. But it's totally your call on how you want to do it.
Can I say one more thing? I probably get shot for saying this, but I use a Georgia MLS and everything's already auto-populated in there. So when I click on the broker, it automatically auto-populates the other broker. It auto-populates my information too. You don't have to put these text boxes everywhere. That's what I do. It's a lot faster for me.
And you know, that's definitely an option. And I think that if you fill out in DocuSign, if you fill out the details section, it'll auto-populate for you there too. But you got to fill it out somewhere. So you choose how you want to fill it out.
Yeah, because Kim, that's what I was going to say. The only time I use text box is if I'm putting it on the exhibits. Because by the time I get to here, everything's already filled in for me.
Right.
Yeah. So did you show them that way where it's auto-populated?
Is that so? Here I'm going to go back. So this is a draft that we created. And so I'm going to go back to the documents and we're going to select a different one. We're going to select the blue, and I'll show you the seller's property disclosure and the community association. So just a suggestion, when we send the listing agreement with the wire fraud, and if we included the seller's property disclosure in CAD, a lot of times they just click through it and they don't fill it out. So I send two separate envelopes. I send one envelope for seller's listing agreement, and I send a second envelope for the CAD and the seller's property disclosure, just because it's easier. I end up resending it if I don't. So we're gonna go with the blue fillable forms right here. The details, you'll wanna make sure you have your details entered in here. This is where Autherine was talking about how it will auto-populate because your information will already be in here as the listing agent.
How do you update that if you're missing some information?
Sure, you're on the details tab, you click edit.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you go down and you add your information in.
Okay, perfect.
And then you click save. And it tells you that your room has been updated. So then you're going to go to the documents and you're going to pick the documents that you want to get signed. And we're going to do the CAD and the seller's property disclosure. Here again, we're going to create an envelope. And just to keep it easy to organize and kind of find what I'm looking for, because you'll get lots of emails, it's just easier to do this. And then again, I copy, scroll down, add it down here. Now, this is the blue fillable form. So this is a live form. So when you're working with that, you're going to select a recipient and you're going to have to use the pre-tagged role. If you do room participant, what you'll notice is that none of them are fillable. So I've made that mistake and sent it and they're like, oh, I can't fill it in. It's not, it won't let me click on the boxes. And it's because you chose room participant and not the pre-tagged role. So when you click pre-tagged role, it's already been set up. Kimberly set the template up. So this is your seller. So you'll select your seller. And then you'll add the selected. And then you'll click next.
Mine doesn't have the agent. Is there a reason why mine wouldn't have the agent on that pre-tag role?
Do you have the agent filled in on your details tab?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go. Do you have your email address entered in there too?
Yeah, normally when I have done this, it normally comes up, but on this one it didn't, so I don't know.
I can come look at it and let you know.
I don't know. No worries. Okay, I'll wait.
So this is the seller's property disclosure. This can all be filled in. If you'll see the little yellow, that means that this Libby lister can come in and fill all this information in. It's a live linked document so that she can complete all the information here, and then you just send it to her, and then they can click and tab like the Adobe that you were talking about. And then the signatures are here. And then you would click send. One of the things I wanted to do is show you how to put in, like if you want to edit something and you're like, oh, I forgot, you can go back, click save, and it'll tell you it's a draft. So we're going to come over here to the one that we were working with before. Click next. And then this is where you're going to want to go in and add in your signatures, like who needs to sign what and where. This is the listing agreement. So we're going to come to the bottom of your listing agreement. And we're going to add in the signatures. So here I have to select my seller. I need their signature. So I'm going to come put that right here. I need the date. And then I like to put their name just because sometimes their signatures, you can't really read what it is. Then I'm going to come back over here and select myself or Libby or the agent. Put the signature there. and then click here and put the date. And then if there's something that needs to be added, like if I wanted to add in a fax number, I could add in a text box with that. You know, there's other ways that you can edit that. Any questions about adding in the signatures? Okay, so then here we're going to hit send. And so it's going to be sent and it'll automatically pop back to needs my signature. So you can click right here and then you can go in and hit sign. And then it's going to bring up the document that you need to sign. Here, if you wanted to add, you know, this is live, you can confirm. Sometimes with DocuSign, like things will get jumbled and it won't still be in there. So just check your boxes again to make sure that everything that you put in there was correct. It'll ask you to fill it in. And then it'll take you down to the next spot and then you can click sign and then click finish. And then I'm going to take you to my email address so you can see what they will get. Hopefully it's here. So this is what your seller will see. They get the email that has their street, their last name, then they'll click review the document. Then they have to click this little button. Sometimes they miss this one, so they click I agree and then click continue. And then this is where they're going to go through start. If they click the start button, it will take them all the way down to the bottom, which is just where they need to sign. But see, everything is all filled in here, all your information. Click start, it'll take them to their signature, then they sign, adopt and sign, and then they click the finish button. Save it. I don't need to save that. No thanks.
Yeah, I did.
So then if you come back to your envelope, this is where it will tell you what's going on. So right here, they weren't waiting for any signatures. We're all complete. There's no draft. So if you come to documents, you'll actually see the signed documents over here. It should populate. It will also send you an email with everybody's document. So here it'll say signed. The little green means that it's signed. So here's where you can come in, your signed listing agreement. And then what we like to do is we like to click both of these and then we like to combine it. And then we name the combined document. You can do then you save that and it gives you a nice little PDF that you can then forward to your seller. So they have all of that. So again, here are all the documents you were working on. It gives you the signed ones. The blue ones are fillable. And then the red ones are templates or PDFs. And then when you click on envelope, you can see what's been completed, what's still a draft. And then when you send things, like we can go into this draft and we can, I'm gonna actually, let me change this. We could actually send this, click next. And then this is gonna send the seller's property disclosure and the CAD. So I click send. So it's gonna tell me waiting for others. So this is where you can come in and say, okay, who are we waiting on? If you have several people here, it will tell you who still needs to sign. If you made a mistake, you can go back and correct, like say there's a misspelled email address, you can correct that. And then when you're waiting, you come back here. I'll go back to my inbox. This is where we just sent the CAD and the seller's property disclosure. This is what your client will see. again, they have to agree to this, hit continue. And then this is where they can kind of go through and click no. And if they can't do this part, you didn't use the template, the tag roles. That's usually what happens here. And they can tab through if they want, whatever's easier for them. And then they can go to the bottom and finish with their signature, adopt and sign. And then initial, this is the finish. And then when you go back to your envelope, you'll have to refresh up here because it'll still say waiting for others until it's completed. And then it's completed, click on your document, and you can always come back here and find this document that's been completed. And then here's the, any questions about the DocuSign part? Getting the signatures, getting the completed ones. So this trick, hopefully it still works. So I will tell you, Command continues to update things. So they just changed how to attach the files. But if you select, I'm going to select DocuSign. I haven't done this. Let's see if it's going to let me do it. Okay, so then I'm going to go to, here's where it's a room doc. And this is why you want it linked to 5678 Main Street. So I just go to that and it automatically puts my listing agreement in there. That's why I like to have the envelope with the address. So you know which listing agreement, because if you have just listing agreement, you won't know which one it is. And then you can scroll down here and say, oh, I need the room doc for, then you can find the disclosures or your seller's property disclosure, and it populates that one. Any questions?
Real quick question. Does DocuSign, are there on the education for Keller Williams? Are there videos on this? So if we want to stop and start and walk through?
Yes, there is. You go to my KW.
Okay.
And then you'll go to training, I think it is. Actually, you know what? Here, I like it this way better. I could be told. I go to YouTube.
Okay.
Because that's where the videos are.
Okay.
And then if you click on Quan Training.
Okay.
Go to YouTube, Quan Training, and then it's all there for you. There's group coaching, there's the command training. That's just here's all the DocuSign training.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, what you're saying all makes sense. It's just then when you get in it.
Right. And until you are like actually having to do something that, you know, that's that's how I learned, is when I had to figure something out or how to enter it. And I'm here, and my phone number, I can give you my phone number. You're welcome to call me if you're trying to figure something out. You know, I'm happy to help kind of fill those things in. The first time's so slow, but after you get it down, you'll be super speedy.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I had my first buyer's agreement that I did over the weekend, and I sent them what I thought I knew what I was doing when it came to DocuSign, but clearly I didn't create because they said, well, we can't sign anything, and it was because I hadn't created the envelope for them to be able to do that.
Okay, so let's just take a quick look. I think we have time. Yeah, so if you are, let's see here. We'll go in and do a buyer. This bar is in my way. So you're in command, and you're going to go to your buyer. And the way I usually do, I just kind of, Betsy buyer, there we are. So we go to Betsy buyer. So you'll want to make sure with a buyer, it's a little bit different because we don't know their property, right? We don't know what they're going to buy yet. So we're going to come to opportunity. We'll create the opportunity. We're going to select that it's a buyer's opportunity. You're the agent, you're the owner, she's the buyer, Betsy buyer. You'll just put in, I like to do active next, and then you can pick how many months it's coming, 3 to 4 months. Then you create that opportunity. Then you'll come to your opportunity. And then the buyer profile is their information. Then you'll click on documents and you're going to start a transaction. It's a residential, they're going to be buying a house. So this tells you all the things you'll need. You'll click start transaction. We're going to start it in DocuSign. And this is where you double check yourself, Betsy buyer. Now I've got documents. Oh, what am I gonna, what do I need her to sign or them to sign? Then you'll come over here, you'll go to your buyer folder. And then this is where you can choose all the documents that you will need a buyer to sign. We'll start with the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement. We'll add the selected there. And then here's where you can open it up in the documents tab. And this is where you can kind of go through and enter in the specifics of what you want it to be, like the term, it's, and then you'll kind of tab through and what kind of agency. And this is also something that we pre-populate so that we save time. Because usually you kind of, with all your buyers, you have the same special steps, you give them the same things, and then here's all this is populated. We were talking about that earlier, authoring. So here's the information, but you still have to enter in your code and your brokerage firm. And that's why I create a template. So I don't have to make sure I didn't miss some of that as well.
When you create the template, you just start with a basic GAR form and then fill it in and save the just generic one as a PDF in your computer.
So I'll show you how I do that. I actually have, let me move this out of the way. So what I do is I open up one of these fillable ones and I fill it all in.
Right.
And so I go to rooms and I create a room that's actually called 2021. And so here I have 2021 listing templates, 2021 buyer templates, and then any kind of forms that I want to do. So we'll go to the buyer one and go to the document. And this is where I have already created, like I have the blue one that I filled in. Where's the blue one? Buyer brokerage. So I went in and I filled this one in already at the beginning of the year. So I do this in January. I fill it all in and this is still live. So if anything changes, you can go back in and change it, right? So let's say we want to change something on here. We can change the percentage to something different and create another PDF. So we have our referral agreements in here. We have our buyer brokerage agreements, like we made a little change to our BBAs. And so this is the PDF that we've created. I still have to add in the dates because that changes, but sub-agency does not consent. All these other things all stay the same. So that's where I create my, my template, my PDF, if that makes sense. And then what you can do is take that and you can just download it. Buyer brokerage engagement agreement, hit download. And then you can download it to downloads or you can save it to your desktop, wherever you want to put it. Okay. And then when you go to a different room, like say we're going to go to Betsy buyer again. And I want her, I want to use this buyer brokerage agreement. I'll just drag that in here. And then that's the PDF one. And here's the fillable one.
Got it.
So again, the details on the far left are the ones that you have to have all the information completed. It does pre-populate, but not always. It's kind of, you need to still check it. The documents are the things that you want to send. And you can also send other things other than things that need to be signed. So for example, once you have a signed BBA, if you want to go into the buyer folder and you're like, oh, I really like to send them stuff on mold. Here's the mold pamphlet. You can add that and then go back, mold, whatever it is that you're wanting to send them. And then you send them the signed stuff. And I usually just do it in a combined document. So they get one PDF, download it, and then email it to them. So they have all that documentation in one place. And then when you click on rooms, this will show you all the rooms that you have. The blue is for listing, the green is for buyer. You can search over here. Newest is what we like to keep at the top. Then your dashboard is kind of what you can work from. It's a little bit like more activity of what's going on, what you're waiting on, things like that. And then you can click this way if that's easier for you too.
Yeah, what was your phone number? I think you were going to give that out.
Sure, 404-316-2209. And if you have anything that's, you know, specific, or if you need help, just give me a ring. I'll walk you through it. Again, with practice, I think you become faster. The green are all the signed documents, the blue are the fill, the red is the PDF. Irene, you were asking me about the one that has sample down it. Like, this is the wire fraud that doesn't have sample. I'll talk to Kimberly on that, because when we download it from DocuSign, it says sample on it. So I'll ask her to upload the correct one.
Yeah, it's the wire fraud and the marketing, affiliated marketing. Both of them.
Yep, I'll go. It happened to me, and instead of saying something to her, I just had downloaded it to my desktop at the beginning of the year. So I'll go mention it to her.
Cool.
It'll get easier. And any ideas, like if you have little quick fixes or things like that, I talked to Kimberly, and she and I kind of try to come up with ways at the beginning of the year, like in January when we have all new forms. You know, that'll be in January where you'll get all of these, and then she'll upload it, and you can add from your computer. The DocuSign Forms is where she has all of her. She's already kind of made these nice folders for you, which is super easy. And then if you're looking something specific, you can go to the GAR form, and then you can type it in. But she's already kind of broken it all down for you to kind of keep it simple.
Okay.
And you can search by like the number amendment, like 701, or you can do 201 sometimes, because if you start doing things that are like whenever I search by a word or something, sometimes I have a hard time. It does, for whatever reason, it pulls up a whole bunch of weird stuff. So. Documents, and then the purchase and sale. When you so if you keep it blue, that keeps it fillable. Like, say, for example, if you're kind of going back and forth in negotiations and things like that, you can fill this in, or if they want to adjust the price, you can do that. This is all fillable, which I think is nice for a purchase and sale. And then the street address, this is all live, so you can add that in. And I'm pretty sure we'll scroll down. This stuff populates, but again, your real estate stuff has to be filled in, some of the codes.
Can I ask you another question, being repetitious?
Not at all. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Where do you go to get the form from being PDF to fillable? How do you change it to fillable?
So it's the blue form that you're going to want to download. So they're all going to be blue forms to start with. When you go to DocuSign Forms, the groups are already over here that Kimberly has created: buyer, lease, listing, referral. So if I'm a buyer, notice how all these are blue.
Right.
So those are all fillable.
Okay.
The ones that aren't fillable are ones that I've already created a PDF for. So everything that's new to you will all be fillable.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, it's all in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. Anything else, Authorine, that I can help with?
He's not here, but we're good, I think, on this side.
Okay. I'll come over there and see why the agent wasn't on that one form, because that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because usually, like, if you'll fill it out, let me find one.
No, it's worked before, but on this, I did a test, so maybe it was like weird with the test, the way I set it up.
So when you're asking for signatures on these things, with the recipients for the blue form, you want to make sure that you do pre-tagged role.
Yeah.
So, and then it should have listing agent. It should be right there. And you might have to scroll up or down. So you click and seller one, and then you select who those people are. Are you saying you're not showing up here, or you're not showing up at all?
I wasn't showing up there as an agent to do it, but I'm going to try.
Okay, I'll come look. So yeah, this is where you'll select who you want to sign.
Is the MLS office code the same thing as the broker code?
No, they're two different ones.
What? Okay. So
And that should be on a form that Kimberly emailed out to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now and I don't see where it says MLS office code. I see office license.
The KWE CO1 is your office, and then brokerage is different. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, these are things like, you know, you'll memorize, and then eventually it'll just be second nature. So the MLS office code is the KWE CO1, and I Keller Williams East Cobb 01, and then the brokerage license number is the H-62960.
Okay, got it.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for hopping on, and hopefully this helped you out a little bit. If you need anything else, just let me know. Give me a call or send me an email.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
You're going to leave the meeting? I guess. Do we have to leave?